May 18th, 2026, Tether froze $600,000 worth of my crypto. Yes, I talked about this in another one of my videos. If you haven't seen it yet, a link should pop up for you either here or here. Be sure to check it out. Make sure you watch it so you don't end up in a similar situation. But after I posted that video, a huge number of people started leaving comments. And of course, there were both positive comments where I really felt some support and negative ones, as well as comments with questions, naturally. I completely understand that now. Of course, people want to know how to protect themselves from this. That's why I decided to go through what I think are the most interesting comments. I gathered a whole bunch of them, so to speak, and today in this video, I'll be answering them. I recommend you watch this video until the end because there will be a ton of useful information here. And I won't just be talking about things I found online or out of thin air. I'll be sharing everything directly from my own knowledge and the experiences I've been through. But before we get to the most interesting part, I want to remind you that I have my own Telegram channel where I share all kinds of information for free, give trading signals, and teach trading. So if you just want to start learning about trading, make sure to check it out. The link will be down below this video. So I suggest we start with the comments that got a huge number of reactions and clearly show that a lot of people want answers to these. So the first person asked me why I didn't immediately convert USDT to Bitcoin and withdraw it to another wallet, since it seems like you can do that in Trust Wallet, or was the conversion unavailable? Let me explain. Guys, I've always been open and honest with you. I always made money just from options, right? I withdrew money in USDT because it's a stable coin that never changes in value. So $1 is almost always equal to 1 USDT. I never had the goal of making money from crypto. I mean, really, for example, I tried SPY trading a little bit at some point. I have some amount of money there, but it's pretty small. I never aimed to make a quick buck off this, and converting a stablecoin that's 1-to-1 with the dollar into something like Bitcoin seems totally wrong to me. Because, first of all, I have no idea what's going to happen. As you can see, Bitcoin generally goes down too. Plus, when I was telling my story, I mentioned that this money had been sitting in my wallet for quite a long time. And hypothetically speaking, if I had converted some of that money into Bitcoin right away, then with a very high probability, I definitely would have caught that moment when everything started to drop. And honestly, I would have lost quite a bit of money too. Actually, I have quite a big collection of questions where people ask me why I don't keep my money in Bitcoin, right? Because that's what it was created for. All the crypto guys are moving to Dubai, everyone keeps their money in Bitcoin and so on. And I guess I'd agree that really, even in my own circle, I actually know quite a few people who are directly involved in crypto trading and keep their money in Bitcoin. But mostly, these are people who have been in the market for a very long time, right? And for them, honestly, it doesn't really matter whether Bitcoin is worth, I don't know, $50,000 or 120 or 20, you know? Because they have a lot of it. And they got their Bitcoin at a completely different price. And naturally, for people like that, why wouldn't they just keep everything, right? Especially when they've already made thousands of times their initial investment and fully understand that overall, it doesn't matter at what price they cash out. They're still in profit. It really is quite a good tactic, but again, it's for those people who have been in the market for a very, very, very long time. Those who started trading, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago, who got in when it was still $2, 10, 100, or at least 1,000, right? I don't have a large amount of Bitcoin, especially not at those old prices, so keeping my money in it, well, I don't know. Go ahead and write in the comments right now if you're not shy, of course. What do you keep your money in? Because as someone who overall had a decent amount of capital, it would really stress me out if, say, you have a sum of money and that same Bitcoin could just as easily drop as it could go up. It would be nice if it went up, but it could also drop. I mean, it could fall by 10% in a day, 20% in a few days, or even 50% over a few months. So that really takes a toll on your nerves. So then someone asked me, do they block the wallet itself or just the coin on the wallet's network? As I mentioned when I shared my story, I haven't tried depositing anything else into that wallet because as far as I understand, all the coins get flagged. For example, if you're under sanctions, your wallet gets flagged as a sanctioned one. So as I understand it, they block the entire wallet. What should you do if the AML check shows a 100% risk? So basically everything shows, just like in my case, that your entire wallet has become sanctioned. First of all, in any case, you need to figure it out, or at least try to figure it out with the sender. Really? Yes, meaning you need to look to you. I mean, this crypto came to you from somewhere, so you can at least express some of your concerns. That's the first thing you need to do. And by the way, if you don't even know whether your crypto is sanctioned or not, clean or dirty, you can go to my Telegram channel. After I post this video, I'll also share a post there with all the Telegram bots where you can check whether your crypto is clean or not. So if you need to, go check it out. What do I want to say? If you realize that you're in the same situation as I was, it's best to either try running your crypto through a mixer or reach out to the exchange and ask them what to do in this case. Because a lot will also depend on how much money you have in your account. The situation that happened to me, as I later realized, generally doesn't happen with small amounts. So for people who have even $100,000, $50,000, or $10,000, these kinds of situations can happen, but they're much, much less common. And if we're talking about even smaller amounts, just so you understand, there won't be any practical effect from this. Because it's one thing when a company freezes $600,000 of your money. It's crypto after all, and all transactions are visible and can be seized at any moment. So what does crypto even mean? Well, basically, yeah. For me personally, that whole myth about everything being anonymous and all that just kind of fell apart. But honestly, I think crypto is actually a pretty convenient thing, right? Because you can use it to pay wherever you want. You can basically take it with you anywhere. So you don't actually need to carry physical cash with you. Yeah, it's true. You really can see all the transactions. And unfortunately, after a lot of platforms, including something like Bybit, started paying more attention to the new American regulations on crypto, that's when the problems began. If you want me to talk about this in more detail, I can make a video about it too. Most importantly, guys, leave a comment. I'd really appreciate it. All these problems started happening because, for example, there's some popular crypto platform or exchange that a huge number of people used. And accordingly, if this crypto exchange falls under sanctions, then everyone who worked with it also ends up under sanctions. Let me repeat. In most cases, of course, this affects wallets with a lot of money. But theoretically, this could happen to anyone. And in my case, for example, the money I received from some platform years ago, back then it wasn't under any sanctions at all. But eventually, a few years later, the exchange gets sanctioned. And after a few more years, my crypto also becomes subject to sanctions. So that's more or less how the mechanism works. Then someone wrote to me suggesting I make a video about where it's best to store money, where and how can you cash out USDT. I actually already made a video about best change once. Very soon, I'll actually record an updated version because I made that one almost a year and a half or 2 years ago, and a lot has changed since then. But on that same best change, you can find pretty much any exchange office in almost any city and exchange everything there. Can you withdraw to a regular bank card, or do you have to use a crypto wallet? If you mean exchanging crypto there, of course you can do it either way. So if you're trading absolutely any platform, you really can withdraw either to crypto or to a wallet, whichever is more convenient for you. Of course, no one stole crypto from my wallet. Yes, I'll say it again. It was just, let's say, blocked. This can happen no matter what. Whether you have a Ledger wallet, MetaMask, I don't know, maybe SafePal or something else. So it doesn't depend on where your crypto is stored. But naturally, the riskiest option is to keep all your money on an exchange because the exchange, so to speak, interacts directly with everything, and exchanges are the easiest to get blocked right away. Plus, you also have to go through verification there. So you could end up with sanctioned crypto on something like a Ledger. Yeah, on a completely cold wallet. And as soon as it hits the exchange, all your other crypto will be flagged too, and your entire wallet will get caught up. That's why, probably, the safest thing is to store it on a cold wallet. And even if you're under 100% sanctions or something, if you're sending that crypto to other people, only send it between cold wallets without ever touching an exchange. But this isn't any kind of investment advice. These are just my own thoughts, basically. Is it possible to get your money back through the courts? A lot of people have actually written to me about this, saying either that they help people get their money back or that they've already helped someone recover it. A lot of people wrote in just to give advice. When you find yourself in a situation where you lose such a large amount of money, how can I get it back? Trust me, I've asked myself that question a lot too. What I realized for myself is that, well, I looked into it and found that acquittals, so to speak, make up only about 2% of cases. So basically, that's almost nothing. From what I understand, it's easiest for people to get their money back if, for example, they're Americans themselves and they just start suing Tether directly, find their own lawyers, and so on. So it's actually a pretty long process. And I've seen examples where people, well, at least I've read on Reddit, that some people supposedly do get their money back, but only after a long time, after several court cases, and plus, it all depends on why the account was blocked in the first place. Just so you understand, sanctions are considered pretty much the worst case scenario, right? So the examples I've seen are, for instance, when people's crypto was blocked because of, I don't know, using some unlicensed exchange service, right? So that's a little bit different. That's why, honestly, I don't really have much hope left that I'll get mine back. And I also realize that because this has become more common now, with all these account blocks happening, there's been a huge surge in scammers who promise to help you with this issue and ask for money either up front or for different stages. Basically, they don't actually do anything at all, but just ask for money for everything. How do you withdraw from Pocket Option now? Honestly, I still use crypto, just like before. It's just that now I check much more often, like using Telegram bots to see whether my crypto is clean or not, and so on. Thank God everything's fine right now. And honestly, everything has always been fine for me lately. My biggest mistake was that I kept my money in one wallet for a really long time, even though I already understood that it was basically under sanctions. So honestly, I totally get that it was mostly my own fault here. It's just that I couldn't imagine something like this could actually happen. And email checks don't help. Here's an interesting comment. Clean crypto can be blacklisted even a year later. Don't use exchanges. Bitcoin and Ethereum are safer than USDT. I've already answered about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and so on. So again, it really is safer, but we have to take into account that they fluctuate, for example. So if, for instance, you're sure that Bitcoin will go up for some reason and you really believe in that, you hope for it and so on, then of course keep your funds in it. As for email checks, I actually think they do help. At least in the moment, you can check, right then and there. But really, they might add, say, some exchange from which you received money, even years later. So ideally, you should make sure that once you receive money, you either withdraw it or transfer it to another wallet. Basically, from now on, you need to keep an eye on this all the time. So if before, everyone assumed that, you'd get yourself a ledger or a flash drive, put it away, forget about it, and think, that's it, I'll just keep all this money for my retirement. Now, that option won't work anymore. Yeah, you can't just keep your money in one wallet for your whole life. Someone is sharing that over 5 billion USDT have been frozen. Can you imagine? $5 billion have been frozen? $5 billion bucks, and less than 1 billion has been unfrozen. This is profitable for the company Tether. Honestly, I can't even argue with that. People are also saying to convert USDT to USDC. To be honest, I haven't done that yet. People are asking me to make a video about USDC. If you're interested, I'll definitely make one. I've also heard that supposedly the company Tether is currently having some issues in Europe. And now in Europe, it's not USDT that'll be widespread, but USDC. And here, guys, this is where things start to get really interesting. Because now we're moving on to the hater comments. The ones people write to me. The script is written by ChatGPT. Clickbait title, you're just rambling, no proof, you're deceiving your audience. I would actually be glad to write something just to attract attention, to trick the audience into thinking that I was, so to speak, deceived. But that's not the case. And honestly, I don't know. Maybe some of you who haven't been watching me for long, you don't really know what I do, right? And I completely understand that right now, there's a lot of distrust toward trading in general, and maybe some people are put off by the fact that I wear a mask and so on. I've been doing this for quite a long time, in my opinion. And I don't sell any courses, I don't have anything paid. Yeah, I don't have anything that costs money. I share everything completely for free. I run what I believe is a pretty useful YouTube channel specifically for people who are interested in trading. For me, well, making a video about nothing happening, I just wouldn't do that, because what's the point? And unfortunately, yeah, that's the truth. And obviously, if anyone wants, you can write to me. I can provide proof. But, well, how should I put it? I was really touched that people wrote to me asking if they could help, and I sent my wallet address to some people who said they would help unlock something and so on. But unfortunately, I realized that this just isn't gonna work anymore. I just understand that giving up or staying in a constant state of despair is definitely not the answer. And unfortunately, after everything that happened to me, I've now been taking a course of, well, not exactly antidepressants, but something milder, for about a month. It seems like I've recovered. I'm filming this video for you, and now I just want to make sure that other people don't repeat my mistakes, so they don't fall into the same trap. And actually, there are a lot of comments saying that I made the whole story up. Well, if that's what you think, no problem. If you watched it, that means you were interested in seeing a made-up story. Then people write, you had 600,000 bucks and you're still making YouTube videos? This is actually what surprises me the most, because for many people, $600,000, I get it. It's a huge amount for me too, just so you know. I mean, I talked about how when I lost that money, the first night I went to bed, I started having panic attacks because I was just lying there imagining how much that really is. I mean, I realized just how big that amount was, and it honestly made me feel really awful. Like really, really bad, you know? It just didn't make sense in my head that I could lose that much money, and at the same time, honestly, there wasn't much I could have done about it. Yeah, if we look at it in general, $600,000 isn't some kind of astronomical amount, right? I mean, like, besides that money, I also have cars and I have an apartment that's actually worth even more. Just because you have that kind of money, do you think I'm supposed to just sit around and do nothing? Unfortunately, if you really think that if you were given that kind of money, you just do nothing, well, I think life would be as boring as it gets. You definitely knew in advance about the dirty crypto and how to check it, but you didn't do anything. I've already talked about this. Yeah, I knew. Yeah, I didn't really do anything about it. Well, actually, it's not like I did nothing. I was actually withdrawing money, and it's a good thing they only blocked 600,000 because the total amount was higher. That's exactly what I talked about. I was withdrawing money regularly, but because of the exchange rate, of course, I didn't really want to take the money out. 11 years in trading and he doesn't know what a ledger is. Unfortunately, if someone writes something like that, it means they clearly didn't understand what happened at all. I just explained about the ledger, that it doesn't matter where the money's kept. As soon as it goes on to the exchange, it's immediately credited to your account. It doesn't matter if you have a ledger or not, and so on. Impossible to listen to. Buy a microphone. I don't know, guys. Let me know. Can you really not hear me well? Because I actually try to put effort into the sound quality. I have both a separate microphone and this microphone. Alright, now let's move on to the top liked comments. Honestly, it was really nice to see you all supporting me, you know? And I really have managed to gather, especially during such a tough time for me, a community of people who care about me, who enjoy everything I do. Honestly, it really will mean a lot to me to keep getting your support. I'll keep trying to post useful, educational videos for you. I'll keep putting effort into the content, because that's exactly what I love to do. I realize that thanks to this, I can really express myself, so to speak. Thank you for taking it in, money. It could have been a lesson in the form of lost health or loved ones. Money can always be earned again. I absolutely agree with that. That's the most liked comment on my YouTube channel. And here, I really can't argue with that. So, of course, I also try to calm myself down by reminding myself that, well, honestly, this isn't the worst thing that could happen. You got your arms, your legs, your head, you feel okay? That's already great. Next, someone writes, crypto was positioned as an independent currency, but in reality, they do whatever they want with the money. So it's clear that when a company like Tether, for example, resorts to this, of course it's pretty profitable for them because they burn your crypto, issue it on their end, and basically, well, they get that money. Someone writes, I also lost everything, $120,000 a year ago. I've only just recovered. Don't give up. You don't give up either. Thank you for leaving a comment. As you can see, people are losing pretty significant amounts too. Here's another comment. They froze $1 million of mine in stocks. I didn't feel like trading for 2 years. I get you, but don't give up either. $1 million. I can imagine that's a really, really huge amount. $1 million is a very large sum. You know, it might seem like the difference between 600,000 and $1 million isn't that big, but in reality, it's a massive amount. Lost half my crypto during the drift hack on April 1st. 2.5 years of work. Sanctions now are nonsense. They hit even clean wallets. But 2.5 years of work, that's also really tough. Like I said, I lost almost a year's worth of work, and that already feels bad. 2.5 years is really hard, so you definitely have to hang in there. And you know, the hardest part is that these days aren't exactly easy either, to put it mildly. Even in trading, I can see that everything's getting harder. That's why I always say, if you want to start doing something, doesn't matter if it's trading or anything else, you need to start now, because it's only going to get harder from here. It's really important to understand that, right? And for sure, today is definitely better than tomorrow will be. Try to keep that in mind too. Maybe I don't have the most positive outlook on life, but I try to live by this principle, and that way I manage to get the most out of my day. Honestly, it really helps a lot. Never give up. Never be afraid to encourage yourself, even in the toughest moments. I hope that after watching this video, you'll see the world a little differently. You know what I mean? Before this situation happened to me, I used to look at crypto, for example, in a completely different way, you know? When situations like this come up, ones that really change your life, you naturally shift your perspective, so to speak. Now you know a little more, right? Now you'll be able to avoid making the same simple mistakes that I did. Now you can, so to speak, share this video with your friends or acquaintances, those who are into crypto, those just getting started, or even those who say, no, crypto is totally safe. We'll always make money with crypto. Anyway, I hope this video was useful for some of you. If even one person manages to protect themselves after watching this, then I already feel like making this video was worth it. I'd really appreciate your likes and subscriptions to my YouTube channel and my Telegram channel. I have a lot of useful free information, so be sure to check it out. Thank y'all so much for watching this video all the way to the end. Well, that's it guys. See you next time.